So, I did a video in which I talked about America's favorite group of people, which were the American veterans. I don't care what you guys think about it, to be honest with you, because if that video didn't lose you, I'm going to lose you with my other videos when I'm going to do my retrospective on a few other black historical figures. I'm probably going to lose you definitely there, maybe, maybe not. Hopefully, you'll at least listen to what I have to say on that. But for this one, since I talked about America's, my personal opinion, the villains of America, I'm going to talk about the heroes of America. And those are, it's actually two groups. It's actually a few groups, really. You can look at a few groups and say this. But I'm going to look at the teachers. And then I'm going to plug in a few other groups. I'm going to get some special, recognition, some special, shout outs to a few other people, right? I hate using that word shout outs now because white people are starting to say it in boardrooms and stuff. And it's like, really, really? But whatever. You look at these teachers, man. Here it is. Let's do a compare and contrast first. You got the American military. You spend months in training, basic training, weeks, if not months in basic training, learning to get physically fit, learning how to properly handle a firearm and weaponry, whether it be explosives, firearms, drones, whatever it is your specialty is. You have $800 billion a year in funding. So you have $8 billion in resources at your disposal. You are given, for the most part, bullet protective gear, meaning helmets, flat jackets. You're given combat boots. You're given especially firearms. You're given tanks. You're given airplanes. You're given communication support. Where do most people don't even realize that GPS technology came from the military. The reason why you have GPS technology that can tell you which street you're on and where to go is because that came from the military. That's military technology. The military developed that so they could put a missile. The military could literally take a missile and put it right smack dab in the middle of your chest. That's how precise that's how much technology they have. People don't realize that. People don't realize. I did a study before. There's technology. I think there's fields of satellites underneath the ground in the earth in America that picks up on conversations and they pick up on keywords. This is nothing new. This has been going on since the 70s, 80s. The United States government hears information. How do you think that most people don't realize it? How do you think that people are able to deter or prevent some of these mass attacks? Because they're eavesdropping, and they're doing the same thing that they're accusing China of doing. But in any event, I'm basically saying, I'm digressing. I'm spending too much time on this. I'm basically letting you guys know these military people are trained. They have months of training before they go into and sometimes they don't even see combat. You think about this. Some people have never even seen combat. They've spent 20 years preparing for a war that they'll never fight. And that's a good thing if they've been able to do that. But you look at these teachers. Look at American teachers. They're not given any weapons. I remember growing up, if you're old enough, if you're Gen X and you're nameless generation, you're baby boomer, I'm telling the truth. If you went to public school and you acted up, you got a ruler. You could get spanked with a ruler. If you went to private school, everybody watch the Blues Brothers. When that nun was smacking around John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, that's true depiction. Now maybe they didn't get hit that bad. I mean, she was excessive with it, I guess maybe, but we got hit. Corporal punishment is what they called it. I do believe I'm correct in that. But teachers were able to at least put their hands on you. You don't know how many principals I've seen lose their job for shoving a kid, for even just grabbing a kid aggressively because that kid was acting up. These principals and these teachers, these grown adults, they don't have any military training. They don't have any Mike Tyson boxing training. They don't have any karate training. They don't have any protective gear, no bulletproof vests. They have none of that. And they go into classrooms or into buildings every day with a bunch of sociopathic kids, unruly. A bunch of kids, Columbine. You can look at Columbine. Look at the one up in Colorado, I think Colorado, and then one up in Maine or Massachusetts. Well, Connecticut, I think it was Connecticut. You look at all of these mass events, shooting events that have occurred in these schools, and teachers, and the only thing they can teach you to do is run, hide, fight is a last resort, right? You run as a one resort, then you hide and barricade yourself in as a second resort, and then you fight as a last resort. And then some of these teachers are using themselves as shields to keep another kid safe, and they're risking their life for your kids, for your kids to be safe. And these teachers cannot defend themselves. You had a 6-year-old kid in what was that, Newport News, down in the Hampton Roads area, down in Newport News, I guess. You had a 6-year-old kid use a firearm on a teacher. And intended and knew what he was doing because he said, I was trying to kill that bee. This is a 6-year-old that said I was trying to. He thought he got her. I was trying to take that bee off the planet. Is what he basically said. From a 6-year-old. So how do you discipline these kids? You have teachers getting knocked out in schools, teachers getting punched, and the only thing they can do is walk away. They can't fight. They just got, number one, you just got embarrassed. Think about that. As a grown adult, if somebody punches you in your face or slaps you, number one, I know as a man, I'm going to be like, man, look, and I know this is probably the wrong thing to think, but one of the things you're going to think about is, man, I just look like a sucker in front of everybody. Now, everybody going to think that I'm a victim, that they can treat me like I'm a victim and bully me. And these kids are doing that to these teachers. So some kid smacks you or punches you in your face. Number one, you're going to have an emotion running through you. Number two, you're going to have your own self-preservation instincts that are going to want to kick in. And number three, you're an emotional creature. You're going to want to put your hands back on. But this is not happening. This is not happening with our adult teachers because they can't do it. There's so many restrictions on what they cannot do. In the military, there's no restrictions. No one gets court-martialed for deleting some poor little civilian from another country because, well, he's not an American citizen. Well, we don't care about it over here. Well, they're defending the country. Well, they have a hard job. They have a hard job. Thank you for your service. That's all we say to them. And they come home and get medals and go to football games and get free lifetime supply of cookies, candies, cakes, peanut butter, clothes, and they get it all. And an American teacher is in a classroom with no weapons, no nothing, and some kid comes up and just either punches them in the face or pulls a knife out of their pocket or worse. Little 6-year-old. And this is what they have to deal with on a daily basis. They have to worry about mass shootings in their schools, and they can't defend themselves. They can't even put their hands on a kid without losing their job. Imagine you being in a classroom with 30 kids. Do you know how hard it is to baby? That really what these teachers are doing, they serve multiple purposes. They're babysitters, they're educators. Some of them are providing counseling or positive imagery for some of these kids because some of them don't see positive imagery. And they have the sole responsibility of taking 30 lives. And some of them you're even touching more than that because sometimes you only get 30 kids in this class for 50 minutes. Then you get another group of 30. Then you get another group of 30. So they're responsible for training hundreds of lives a day and trying to make your kid into a person that can go out and at least matriculate to college or at least get a good job and have some type of skills. I just got into an argument with a girl last week, and that's one of the reasons why I hate liberals. I really do. She's going to sit up there and get mad at me, because I told her, because she was making one argument and she's the one that brought the subject up. And I said, it's not a teacher's job to educate your child. It's not a teacher's job. Well, it is their job, but it's not. Let me provide some context behind it. The teacher, if your kid is not getting it, and this is what this girl didn't understand. If a teacher is teaching math, mind you, some kids are going to be smarter than others, and this may sound a little racist. I don't care if it is, but there are some kids that get it a little bit more. Like if you look at the Asian culture, those kids are good at math, and I don't know whether they're naturally good at math or whether it's just trained and reinforced in their household. But some kids just understand math. Some kids struggle a little bit more with math. We've always had it in our class where there was always one or two kids that they just got it. They just got it. And like there's going to be certain subjects when it comes to chemistry or biology or English or history, some people just pick it up fast. And then there are going to be those subjects where it's like, oh, I'm a little slow in this subject. I need help. But a teacher cannot spend their time with your kid. If your kid is not getting it, the teacher's job is to teach the base foundation of the curriculum. That's what their job is to do. Their job is to teach your kid the base foundation. And that's why they send your kid home with homework, because then it's up to the parent to work with the child or someone to work with the child and get that child up to speed to where the rest of the class is. So if your kid is falling behind, the teacher just can't slow the class down and say, well, you know what? Little Bobby don't understand 2 plus 2. He doesn't understand PEDMAS or whatever it is. When you do parentheses first and then you work multiplication from left to right, multiplication, division. They don't understand those concepts. But it is up to the parent to then work with the kid on homework, and then also to get the kid additional resources. If your kid is going to a public school, you mean to tell me you can't come up with an extra $30 to get your kid some tutoring? You don't have access to, and I find it very hard to believe that there's households that don't have access to the internet. The one beautiful thing I can say about America, as much as I may talk about America, and mind you, I do overall like America. I think it has potential. But the one thing I can say about America is, well, I'm going to say this about human beings first, American citizens. American citizens are just lazy pieces of crap. But America is a beautiful system in the sense that if you don't have the internet at your house, you can go to a library. You may have to take 2 buses to get there. You may have to walk to get there. Tough luck. Everybody isn't created equal. If your parents don't have a car, blame your parents. Don't blame the government. If you got to take 4 buses and you sad about doing that, blame your parents. But the bottom line is this. If your parents can afford cell phones and pay cell phone bills, and then they can pay for the internet, or they can pay for you to have a tutor. Or if you can't reach out to a cousin or aunt or uncle or phone a friend, and you can't say, hey, I'm not understanding this. Come teach me come teach me math or calculus or whatever the subject may be. I don't understand 4x plus 6 equal 30. I don't get it. It is up to the parent to get that done. The school is going to teach you but so much, but they got 30 kids they got to bring up. So they can't slow life down. They can't hold up the rest of the group just because your 1 or 2 or 3 kids isn't getting it. They have to move forward. And this is what that girl didn't understand. She's putting it all on the teacher. People think that you can just drop your kid off at a building and they're going to come out geniuses and baby Cornel West and baby scientists. It's not going to happen. Stephen Hawkins, they're going to come out just like Stephen Hawkins. You have to put in additional work. Just like you put in additional work to send your kid to basketball camps and basketball training and get your kid all of these different coaches, your kid should have an academic coach. Your kid should come to school not disrupting the class and ready to learn. I guarantee any of you all talk about teachers, but put yourself in a classroom and have to teach 30 souls, 30 teenage souls, immature souls. You know, these kids are immature. I was immature when I was 20 probably, I'm pretty sure. With these kids and they're sitting in the class Half of them halfway paying attention. Now they have cell phones. Thank God we didn't have that when we were growing up. But now they have cell phones, so now they're probably on cell phones. They're doing everything but probably paying attention. So some of them aren't paying attention, and some of them are just being disruptive in the class. And this teacher has to deal with this every day. And then can't put their hand on your kid, and your kid is using every word that Satan created. These are the true heroes. And they don't get paid that much money. And they don't get no GI Bill. And they don't get this. They don't get, 30% disability like these military people. These are the true. They don't go to basketball games, and basketball games don't parade teachers around and thank them for their service and give them lifetime supplies of whatever it is that they should be having. These teachers are coming out of their pockets to buy supplies so that your kids can do projects in the classroom. So your kids can wipe their nose or color, use crayons, do whatever it is that they're going to do. These teachers are paying for it. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, you guys are worshiping the wrong people. I mean, I beat up on the military, and rightfully so. The military is nothing to be proud of. Those people get enough praise on their job. They get enough praise. These teachers need praise. And like I said too, I'm going to mention some other groups. Your trash man needs praise. Yeah, your trash piles up every week. I know how funky my trash smells. I'll be like, oh my God, I can't wait for my trash people to come. Sometimes I don't even wait for the trash to come. Sometimes I'll be like, man, I need to make a run. I need to go dump this stuff. Go down to the public dump and dump some trash. This stuff can't stay in this house. And you know your trash is funky. And your trash man comes every week without fail. Sometimes some of y'all probably have trash people that come twice a week. But let your trash man decide that he don't want to pick up trash anymore. And let your backyard become a dumpster for trash. And then once all them rodents and them foxes and them snakes and them rats and them vultures start piling up in your backyard and then infiltrating your house, then let's see who you start thanking for their service. I'm not making this up. Other people that you won't want to thank are the people that clean up that roadkill. Anytime you hit a deer or anytime you hit a bear or moose or whatever it is that you're hitting out here in these streets, those people come to clean that stuff up because those carcasses can't stay around. I mean, there's going to be some vultures that's going to come pluck it up and pick it up, but this stuff leaves bacteria and germs. So these people come pick that stuff up without fail. Without fail. But the only people in America that people want to thank is somebody with a gun or water hose, because they like the fire department too. They love the fire department, they love the police, and they love the military. And they look at every other profession and say, screw them. You think about that. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. If you think about it just popped into my head. Listen, it's okay to disrespect a politician. Think about this. I'm not trying to say it's okay. This is not my opinion, but this is the opinion. This is not my viewpoint, but this is this is the notion that I'm carrying. You had a man take a dump. He had a bowel movement. He released his bowel. He evacuated his bowels in front of Nancy Pelosi's house, I think in her driveway. That is nasty. This man evacuated his bowels in her driveway because he doesn't like her as a politician. You had people threatening politicians' lives, and other politicians think it's funny. You have the news people that think it's funny. You have people that's like, we hate politicians. It's okay to be disrespectful to a politician, a person who's trying to make laws in this country for the betterment of society. Whether you agree with that law or not, that's beside the point. The bottom line is these people are going into it with good intentions, with what they see, trying to make this place a better place through laws and legislation. And it's okay to be disrespectful to them. But it's not okay to be disrespectful to someone who carries an M16 and goes over to another country and deletes some poor soul. I find that very hard to digest as a human being. I really do. It's very easy to talk about what teachers don't do. Yeah, teachers, they don't do nothing in the real world, so they had to become a teacher. They couldn't make it in the real. I hear people say this type of stuff, disrespecting our teachers. I don't find it in the least bit funny or in the least bit classy. You think about that. And you think about that the next time you send your little trifling kid to school and understand that your teachers have to deal with 30 of those in their classroom at one time. 30 of them. And if you have an outstanding kid, good for you. Thank you. Thank you for raising a fantastic child. Thank you for your service, for creating a responsible human being. But unfortunately, your kid has to deal with these other kids that they're surrounded by. This is the Political Brown Kid. Hit the like and subscribe if you want. I know you probably don't want to. Hit it anyway. Just, man, whatever. Just to spread the word. And also definitely send this to your friends. This is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.